Welcome to today's Explainer. Now listen, we aren't just recounting some spooky campfire tale today. We're actually diving into a chilling, reportedly real-life paranormal incident straight from a truck driver's own terrifying account. And I gotta tell you, this deep dive is absolutely gonna make you rethink every late-night drive you've ever taken.
Just picture this: the silence of midnight, the heavy sound of the engine, and shivering tires on an old road. We are on a desolate stretch of Highway 44 in India. It's pitch black, it's completely isolated, and it's literally the perfect setting for something totally inexplicable to happen.
Section 1. Midnight on Highway 44, Kamlesh's Journey. So, our subject here is Kamlesh. He's a truck driver, pushing through the grueling, exhausting hours of the night. He is completely alone out there. Or, well, so he thinks.
Then, the inciting incident happens in an absolute flash. A sudden white figure in the headlights, the screech of brakes, an empty road. Kamlesh slams on the brakes, his heart just pounding against his ribs. He steps out of the cab, adrenaline absolutely surging, fully expecting to see someone he almost hit. But there's no one. The road is completely empty. He tries to convince himself, maybe it's just a hallucination born of sheer exhaustion. But that comforting silence doesn't last. Out of nowhere, a woman's voice calls out from behind his truck. And this brings us to a really crucial concept in regional folklore: the deceptive spirit. You see, Kamlesh's immediate dread isn't just about finding a stranger in the dark. It's rooted in these very specific, terrifying traits. He knows the local stories of entities with backward feet who appear helpless just to lure unsuspecting victims on lonely roads. So right now, he is absolutely terrified.
Which leads us right into Section 2, A Stranger in the Dark, the encounter. This is where the tension truly escalates into a chilling confrontation.
The woman makes this seemingly innocent plea. "Brother, can you drop me a little further? I've lost my way." She starts playing heavily on his sympathy, telling him she desperately needs to get to the city, that her children are waiting for her. It's a highly calculated move, designed to break down his defenses.
But Kamlesh, he resists. His survival instinct is screaming at him. He tells her, "I've heard stories about your kind. Your feet are backward, you aren't human." He flat out refuses her. But she is manipulative. She expertly makes him question his own fear, asking him, "If I were a ghost, would I speak to you so politely?" Ultimately, the guilt trip works. Kamlesh makes a terrifying compromise, but with a very strict condition. She has to sit in the back of the truck, under the tarpaulin, and she must absolutely not look toward the cabin. Period. He locks himself inside to maintain this physical barrier of safety, waiting for her knock on the metal to signal that she's in the back. Once he hears it, he drives off. But guys, the nightmare is literally just beginning.
Let's move to Section 3, Sati Ghati's Secret. The dread builds. This is where the atmosphere inside that truck turns into pure, suffocating terror.
As Kamlesh continues driving down this pitch-black highway, the environment shifts drastically with these terrifying sensory anomalies. First, the truck suddenly feels unnaturally heavy, like it's dragging an impossible weight. Second, he tries to turn on the radio just to get some comfort, right? But it only emits this sinister, hissing static. And then, the final straw. Hysterical, agonizing crying erupts from the back of the truck.
So he cracks the window just a tiny bit, really just to get her to stop crying before he loses his mind and drives off the road. She shares this tragic tale, saying, "He said I was bringing bad luck, pushed me into a living hell." She claims an abusive husband discarded her simply because she couldn't bear children. And this heartbreaking detail, it actually works. It makes Kamlesh, and honestly us too, lower our guard. He even offers her some words of deep comfort.
But that brief moment of comfort is shattered instantly. Suddenly she screams, "Stop!" at the top of her lungs. It jars Kamlesh so badly he practically stands on the brakes. They have arrived at this desolate, eerie area. When he asks where they are, she whispers that the locals call it Sati Ghati. She steps out into the dark wilderness, and as Kamlesh is watching her in the glow of the headlights, she vanishes. Completely vanishes into the mist.
Deeply shaken, Kamlesh drives on. But as we enter Section 4, the endless road, a spatial loop, things go from creepy to completely mind-bending. The loop begins. Kamlesh drives away feeling this massive wave of relief that she's gone. But then, a broken sign for Sati Ghati appears in the headlights. Again. The horrifying realization sets in. He is trapped in some sort of impossible spatial loop. The road is literally repeating itself.
And his panic escalates so fast here. Let's look at the timeline. At 0, he passes the sign. Minutes later, with his panic rising, he hits 80 kilometers per hour. Moments after that, pushing past 100 kilometers per hour, the engine is absolutely screaming. The truck is violently bouncing on this old road, and the sign appears again. He has completely lost control. It culminates in a violent climax, a massive crash. Shattered glass, the screaming engine finally falls silent. Basically, trying to avoid looking at the sign, Kamlesh swerves on the wet mud, and the truck smashes head-on into a massive boulder. He falls out of the cabin, bloody and desperate. He's waving frantically at passing cars, but they all speed right past him, leaving him entirely alone in the terrifying silence. Completely out of options and stranded in the dark, we reach Section 5, a desperate call. Calling the boss.
Using his phone, which is pretty much his last beacon of hope right now, he frantically recounts this entire horrific ordeal to his boss. Now, his boss takes a very pragmatic approach. He demands immediate photos of the crashed truck and the surroundings so he can figure out where to send help. So, Kamlesh snaps some quick photos in the dark, sends them off, and just waits.
Which brings us to the absolute most suspenseful part of the night. What exactly did the boss see in those photos? Why does a standard roadside accident suddenly turn into pure, absolute terror on the other end of the phone line?
The resolution lies right here in Section 6, the final photo, a terrifying truth.
The boss calls back almost immediately, but his voice is totally panicked, and he delivers this chilling instruction: run. Do not look back no matter what you hear. He tells Kamlesh to abandon the truck right now, flag down any car, or literally run on foot to the nearest petrol pump. Just get out. So Kamlesh runs for his life, never once looking back.
And here is the ultimate twist, which was only revealed 2 days later when Kamlesh finally meets up with his boss in person. The ghost? She was never in the back of the truck. In the photo of the wrecked vehicle Kamlesh sent, sitting right there in the passenger seat, the seat literally right next to where Kamlesh had been driving the entire night, was the woman, smiling directly at the camera.
This explainer leaves us with an incredibly poignant reminder from the original source material. There are some roads where fear travels with you, and not every traveler is human. It's a pretty stark warning about the hidden, inexplicable dangers of lonely, desolate highways.
Which leaves us with a final thought to ponder today. The next time you're out driving completely alone at night, who might actually be sitting in that empty seat right beside you? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Stay safe on the roads out there, and keep wondering about those mysteries in the dark.